Hi everyone. First of all, Merry Christmas to all of you. How are you doing? I'm so happy. Merry Christmas, Irina. Merry Christmas, Gary. Merry Christmas, Anthony, Fabio, and Tushar. And
Merry Christmas.
welcome to
Merry Christmas.
VCTV. Welcome to VCTV. I'm really excited. Just before the holidays, we're going to be like off from tomorrow, just for 2 days, but still, this is the Christmas episode of VCTV. Hence, I wanted to just be in the mood and the feeling for today. So I'm very excited, and thank you for your time today on VCTV. Today we're going to discuss again very different topic, very interesting about DeFi, decentralized finance, financial services, traditional financial services, and banking, and the investments around it. So yes, I have 5 speakers today. Wow, that's amazing. I have people from US, from Europe, India, and Australia. Well, Australia must be late, I guess. But yeah, we are all now into one time zone. Okay, fantastic. Before I start introducing my speakers, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sonny Mohanty. Merry Christmas, all the viewers. First of all, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. My name is Sonny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of Lautok, and I'm based in Singapore. Thanks for tuning in to VCTV. We are streaming live on Facebook from our website and YouTube channels. So you can view our episodes from different multiple channels. So yes, so that's me. VCTV was born in February 2020, which is this year. Because of coronavirus pandemic, we couldn't travel, we couldn't meet in person, hence we had to move everything online. And the goal and objective of VCTV has remained the same. It's about connecting people, making connections, collaborations, networking, exchanging information, and many more things, besides getting the much needed funding when it comes to the startups. So yes, so that's about VCTV, and that's about me, and that's about the entire community. Since we started, we have grown in community in terms of speakers, investors, entrepreneurs, and the viewers as well. So yes, so that's the love that we have from you all for VCTV. So thank you for joining in on the Christmas Eve. I really appreciate your time. Today I have someone dialing in from Australia for very first time. Must be very late. I'd like to start with you, Anthony. Welcome to VCTV. I think this is the first time you're dialing in from Australia. Please help introduce yourself, your company. Thank you.
I'm based in Australia, Sydney now, but it's by circumstances. I used to be from Singapore, but I managed to get out of Singapore just before the lockdown and all that. So I've been back here for close to a year, and still have not been able to travel. As you know, lockdown and also international travel is quite difficult. So Amethyst, we are a family office, so we have our own investments, but at the same time, we are also involved in helping some investors in M&A deals, basically some origination, and also trying to look for targets or whichever sectors that it's a varied number of investors that we have who may want to join us together to invest together, or it could be purely advisory as well. So we are mainly from the traditional finance space. So basically I'm an ex-investment banker and in global markets as well. But I came into the crypto space probably about three years plus ago. Yeah, so pretty familiar with the crypto space, and now very excited with the DeFi space. And of course, Bitcoin price has also been good. So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
Fantastic. Welcome, Anthony. By the way, I just came to know that we're streaming to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So you can watch our shows from all the 3 social media channels besides our website. And welcome to VCTV, Anthony. Next I have Irina, who has joined us back after after a small break. Irina, welcome to VCTV. Welcome back. Where did you go?
Oh goodness, I was recovering my voice. We have this cedar fever thing in Austin. There's a lot of trees that grow and they have this pollen that basically has the symptom of respiratory, which is, not the best thing to have right now, but cedar fever is fine. So I'm recovered and my voice is back, and now I hope you guys can hear me
Yes.
well here. Okay, good. Well, it's a pleasure to be back. My name is Irina Litchfield. Many know me as a crypto superwoman. I am a founder of Blockchain Cubed. Blockchain Cubed is a blockchain integration company. So we do everything from technical design to building the infrastructure, as well as integrating people that are new to the industry into the industry itself. So that portion of the business, I'm sure, will be very busy for upcoming year. I'm also president of Lumeria. Lumeria is where capital meets innovation. We're driven by democratizing opportunities and investments for people all over the world, and we believe that it's time to innovate capital markets. So I'm also founding advisor for Ape Global Securities Exchange, senior advisor for Space Fund. I'm an advisor for Med Network and ProChain Capital. And it's such a pleasure to be back, and happy Christmas Eve, everybody. I love this season of the year, and for us, the season goes up until 14th of January, because that's the old calendar Russian Christmas. So we celebrate and celebrate and celebrate.
Yes. And welcome back. And yes, you have recovered fully. We can hear you very clearly. And thanks for coming back to VCTV on the Christmas Eve. And next I have Tushar. Hi, Tushar. Welcome back on VCTV. How are you today?
Hi, Sonny. I'm great and wish Merry Christmas to you and to all others. The excitement is coming through, and the colors and the lights and everything. And on top of that, we have crypto breaking records. I mean, so, we are talking about huge liquidity hitting asset classes, and all the world over stock markets hitting highs. And so both on the financial side as well as on the personal side, there is so much to cheer. So, I'll give a brief background about myself. I've helped private equity transactions at Deloitte and Touche. I've also been a part of the team at Brand Capital, the venture capital fund here in India, which is the largest in terms of number of deals. I've raised $2.5 billion of debt for Russian company Systema's India unit, and also been CFO of Distribution Logistics, which is owned by Guggenheim Partners. In last 5 to 6 years, I run consultancyventures.com. That's a company which helps out in arranging equity in investing across asset classes, as well as helping in buy-side mergers and acquisitions.
Oh, fantastic. And welcome back, Tushar, on the Christmas episode of VCTV. So this is the last day before we take off, I think all of us. And back again. Probably many of you must have taken extended leave, but I'm back after 2 days, I guess. So yes, thank you so much, Tushar, and welcome back. Next, I have Fabio. Hi, Fabio. Welcome back on VCTV. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Sonny. Just a quick background. I'm an economist by training. I gained a PhD from the University of Chicago, unfortunately, many years ago. Then I went to work for the International Monetary Fund, the European Central Bank, Goldman Sachs, and then I moved to the Arabian Peninsula to work for some wealth funds. And the last experience there was as a chief strategy officer and chief economist of the Oman Investment Fund, which is a sovereign wealth fund of the Sultanate. Last year, I took a stake in an investment bank, American investment bank, based in New York, with offices in Dubai and Hong Kong. And now I deal mostly with taking innovative companies on the OTC market in New York, the over-the-counter market in New York, which is specifically designed for all sorts of companies, international and American, but with a certain preference for grow-up and startups with interesting business plans.
All right. Okay, great. And I know, I mean, you're an ex-investment banker. That's why we're going to know from you what are the differences between the DeFi, centralized finance, traditional finances, financial services, and banking. So welcome back, Fabio, and thank you so much. Last but not least, I have Gary. Hi, Gary. Merry Christmas.
Hello,
how are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, no, everything's good. It's a great day and great to be here. So, my name's Gary Fowler, and I've been doing entrepreneurship a long time. Actually, I think I was 13 or 14, but my first startup, I started when I was 21, and I built 27 houses. I actually designed them myself, and the houses were up to 8,000 square feet, 87,000 bricks. So I came up with some interesting optimization methodologies and just loved it. So I've done 16 companies, done 2 unicorns. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which sold for 1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, which is a company I formed 4.5 years ago. I'm the CEO and president of GSD Venture Studios, an AI venture studio that curates companies from around the world and uses Silicon Valley as a port. I love AI and quantum computing and everything associated with it. I was also an MBA professor at the top business school in Russia. And I started 2 accelerators also. So a lot of stuff. And it's great to be here with Tushar, yourself, Irina, Fabio, Anthony. It's now what a great Christmas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people say, you always say hindsight is 2020. I'm not sure we're going to be saying that next year.
I know exactly what you mean, Gary.
It's more like, in New York, they say, forget about it.
Yeah. Do you remember in 2019, we're so excited about 2020, the decade is going to get over, right? And
yeah, let's just
a new
think,
decade.
let them forget it and think about 2019. Amnesia,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. And yes, today is the Christmas Eve, and we are all excited. And the topic is also very exciting, considering DeFi is very new. So much as blockchain. I think blockchain has been there for a while, but DeFi is very new for many people. So let's start with what's DeFi? What's decentralized? Is this the buzzword after blockchain? What's DeFi really mean to common people? Can we start with Anthony? Anthony, over to you, please.
Sure. DeFi stands for decentralized finance. For myself, I came from centralized finance, banking, right? So decentralized is the opposite of centralized. So it basically is an umbrella term we use in the blockchain space of cryptocurrency. So it's really a way where startups coming together and creating solutions to disrupt financial intermediaries, get rid of the brokers or middlemen. And so over time, we actually move from the centralized finance, even when we talk about exchanges, cryptocurrency exchanges, these are centralized entities, institutions, right? So when we move away from centralized, we decentralize and basically have nodes spread across globally, and there is no single point of failure. I think that probably a textbook answer that I can give right now. Yeah, I mean, anyone can just add on.
Yes, please. We would like our viewers to know more about what exactly is DeFi, decentralized finance, how it is different from the traditional financial services and banking. Tushar was raising his hand. Tushar, over to you, please.
So, Sonny, the financial world is so much full of financial jargons that people are actually afraid of understanding. But it so happens that whenever I try and explain decentralized finance, it is only through financial jargons. So the thing is, if you go to the stock market or you go through any financial institution, you have to deal with a number of intermediaries who do the know your customer KYC, who see that everything is fit and proper, who meet compliances. But because all this sometimes becomes too lengthy and process driven, so there is a new way to access money and money products, and that is DeFi, decentralized finance. It works by executing smart contracts as blockchain, and the most commonly used is the cryptocurrency Ethereum. And then if I use more financial jargons, it will become complicated. But there are decentralized apps, decentralized exchanges, and stuff like that.
All right. Yes, absolutely. It's decentralized finance. Yes. Thank you so much, Tushar, for those insights. I have a new guest, Mihai Lefi. Hi, Mihai. So, can you tell us
Hi,
where are
how's
you
it going?
dialing from, and which company you represent?
I that's very cute. My last name is actually Mihai Dinulescu. That's my Facebook
I'm so
last
sorry.
name, Mihai Lefi. That's very cute. I took I'm with Turing Solutions. So I've been working with blockchain since early 2016, 17, and basically I've been working in DeFi doing anything from sort of Ethereum implementation. As Tushar was saying, Ethereum is definitely the leading technology in the field, and some multi-trillion-dollar banks are using it, as well as launching projects on the public markets at the the old like ICO now token launch type of way. So been doing that for quite some time, and very glad to be here.
Oh,
Merry
yes,
Christmas.
Turing Solutions. I was wondering how come you're not here. And my apologies, somebody should change your surname. that's kind of
No,
funny.
it's the one. It's that's the one I use on Zoom. That's all.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a mistake done by somebody from outside. Okay, no worries. Then no issues. Then we all set. And welcome, Merry Christmas, and welcome on VC. Welcome to VCTV.
Thank you very much.
Great. So next, I'd like to start with Irina. Irina, are you there? So let's just start with the introduction of decentralized finance. What does decentralized finance mean to the common people? Like, we know banking, we've been using banking. Yes.
To most people, decentralized finance means it's not regulated, okay? And we have to make sure we're clear about that, because for the most part, that's what it's been meaning. DeFi is a term that took on about 2 years ago. It started coming out, but decentralized finance have been kind of something that we've been doing with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, because cryptocurrencies started way before Bitcoin, right? So,
yeah.
So decentralized finance had a really, really long pathway. 2 years ago, DeFi became something that started ringing on our tongues, and now DeFi is something that we think that is new and upcoming. But overall, to people, that means it's unregulated finance. So what that means is that it works outside of a traditional banking and all other services. And I think that's one of the taboos that we must have overcome, because at this point, Bitcoin used to be decentralized finance. It is no longer decentralized finance in a lot of people's minds, because it is regulated, because the way the regulators look at it all over the world. The same with Ethereum. And Ethereum, by the way, is not a decentralized platform, just so we're clear. Now, Digibytes isn't a decentralized platform. So, but now we're going into the details of what experts in the industry understand decentralized platforms are. But to regular people, and in general, when we speak about decentralized DeFi, right? So right now, if we say DeFi, it is not an Ethereum, right? It's all suite of kind of a new things, but when we zoom out on all of them, they all are unregulated.
Right, got it. Thank you so much, Irina, for sharing those insights and explaining that so nicely. Next, I have Gary. So, Gary, would you like to add something on to the topic, like starting with the definition of decentralized finance? Because we're going to go a little bit more deeper into how it is different from the traditional finance and the banking. But yeah,
Well,
let's
yeah,
just
yeah,
start with.
sure. Well, Irina was right on target because, there's challenges because of anti-money laundering rules and KYC. And so if you look at DeFi, some people compare it to a Ponzi scheme. In fact, if you look at a company called Yam Finance, right after launch, they crashed because of code errors, losing, and they had raised, I think, $750 million had deposits. So it's not easy. It's not for sophisticated users. And by the way, if you make a mistake and use a credit card or a debit card, sometimes you can correct it. But if you make a mistake with this, you're done. You're gonna lose. So if you have one extra zero or two extra zeros, as we said, forget about it. Your money's history. So you got KYC needs to be looked at, and anti-money laundering. So regulators aren't real happy with where it is, and some people compare it to the ICO craze. So I would say be cautious.
Right. Mihai wanted to share something. Yes, go ahead.
Well, the ICO craze was about assets going up. This is about interest, right? And it's also about freedom. I think regulated or unregulated. I think you guys are missing one of the biggest points, which is freedom, and freedom has sophistication to it. So when you're considering, investing on the NASDAQ, you can buy, you can sell, you can buy options, you can sell options, but you can never play the side of NASDAQ. With yams, yeah, you can get all of your thing stolen because all the thing, crumbles, right? But sushi was built on it, and sushi's still around, right? And at the same time, you can actually play the side of the house. You can be putting your money in as a liquidity provider without being a big bank. And for $100, $1,000, you're making your money from trader fees. You can never be exposed to trader fees as a source of revenue when you're betting on the Dow Jones. That's their money. That's the safe source of revenue. When somebody's leveraging and they get wrecked, only somebody like Goldman's or BofA of another big liquidity provider can make money from that secure and rentable route. So I don't care if you regulate me all day long. Please check my KYC, check my ML, track my transactions, but let me bet on the house.
Anybody wants like to add? Yes,
I would like to add.
Yes, Irina. Go ahead, sir.
What it means, right? And so DeFi is an unregulated market. And also, it is very early to make the judgments about who is there and who is not, because they just begun, and this is beginning of the bull run. And let's talk in year and a half and see what kind of crocodile tears are going to be there, because being in going through three different growth and deflation cycles, I'll tell you that, the regulated and all these cycles, being in the industry since 2013, you get this, these wounds that are big, and all of them are metals. And so, I'd say let's not jump into the puddle of, all these sushis and all this stuff is working so great and it's different because it kind of is similar. It is a growth cycle, and let's remember that. So, and that's what really prevents. I really want to restate this again, because it is considered as a Ponzi scheme. It prevents people from coming into the industry and truly exercising the freedom. And the reason it's considered as a Ponzi scheme is because it's unregulated. So we have to stop saying, this is this and this is that, and start actually building regulated bridges for people that are underbanked, people that are underfinanced, and people that cannot participate in the traditional finance. Because traditional finance is not some kind of a boogie monster that wants to get us at all, okay? It's just something that has built us. But anyhow, I just wanted to point out that, it just what it is. And in reality, whether it's good or bad, we don't know, but it is something that is unregulated. And it is unfortunately considered as a Ponzi scheme. Most of people don't understand what it is and they want to stay away from it. And it is very hard to lose your money because you typed in a wrong number or send out too much or made some kind of mistake. And it's not something that recovers. I know so many people all over the world, and they all love to share things about how they got discouraged from crypto because they made a mistake or somebody scammed them or they lost it, and they just cannot let it go. And so a lot of people moved on through years. I know a lot of people that actually moved on from the industry and are not seeing the opportunities in adoption right now where they could have been integrated because of those losses that they caused themselves, or worse, that they feel guilt for getting other people into the industry.
Sure, this is
and losing money.
So yeah, as per Irina, it's a Ponzi scheme. People have lost money. Tushar, you'd like to add something to what Irina just said? I mean, obviously, this is a very good panel. People are differentiating opinions. This is how it should be. Go ahead, please, Tushar.
So we are sitting at a time when the DeFi collateral levels have risen to, I think, more than $10-11 billion now. The Bitcoin itself is, is tearing $23,000. So I hate to be the bad guy, but not all places are the same. I mean, we live in Asia where money laundering and anti-terror financing are big issues. And, there used to be a time when it was very easy to open a bank account in Dubai or Singapore, somebody, residing in India. But I see my clients, my startups having so many issues after the AML rules, the anti-money laundering rules were set up by the US, and all these financial institutions being based out of either the US, London, or so on. But being a part of the global network, they had to comply. So it became very difficult to do business cross borders. So while I welcome any kind of technology which makes it easier for a common man to make money through financial ways, but still, there is a very thin line between diluting the KYC norms, know your customer norms, and the anti-money laundering AML rules. But at the same time, these are sensitive issues. For example, the code which DeFi uses is open source, so it can be easily copied. So somebody created a new platform, it raised $750 million, and suddenly it went off like that. So these are risks which come along with doing trades on this kind of a platform, and that makes it quite sensitive. And also, I agree to one part that there are less intermediaries in DeFi, so which makes it easier for anyone who understands the system, to make money or lose money, or but at the same time, there is no customer support because there are these middle institutions are actually not there. So what I want to say is that lack of regulation, tearing down walls is good in many ways when it comes to democratizing the whole setup. But at the same time, there are rules and laws which are in many ways beneficial to particular kind of markets, and that is very important.
Thank you, Tushar. Anybody, Fabio, Anthony, would like to add on anything about, because we are clearly behind supporter of DeFi and yes, Anthony,
I want to add on to what you guys have said. On the other spectrum, right? Because now I have heard regulation is coming on to DeFi and all that. I come from banking environment, so I understand why regulation, why KYC, AML, and all that stuff, right? But on the other hand, what SEC is doing to Ripple, for example, do you think that is going too far in terms of over-regulation? Are they killing innovation and things like that? So we can argue on this part, but I felt that DeFi has its merits, like Michal mentioned, that we can play the house, right? So we can provide liquidity. And not right now is about more than 15 billion, 150 billion, is it? How much? 15 billion liquidity locked up in the ecosystem, right? 15 billion, I think, as of today. So this is set to grow. but we're just at an early stage, right? If regulation were to come in, so we talk about yield farming and liquidity mining and all that, wrap BTC, all this may have to go, but these are really innovative stuff, right? Before DeFi, we never had this kind of stuff. So I feel that regulation is good, AML and prevent terrorism, financing and all that, but I'm not sure whether it's too soon to introduce such regulation into this space so early.
Great. Right. Fabio, would you like to share anything here in terms of like you've been an ex-banker?
I'll take the libertarian side of the argument. Now, why do we need anti-money laundering and KYC regulations? This is a question that nobody asks. It seems obvious, to prevent the bad guy from doing this and doing that, financing terrorism, avoiding tax evasion. Why don't we regulate the car use? Even cars can be used for terrorism, for car bombs, can be used for bank robberies. So is that fine? And money, on the contrary, cannot be used freely. The issue is that law enforcement should concentrate on the crime, not on curtailing freedom of everybody else because a tiny fraction of the population uses the financial system or whatever else, cars or you name it, to commit crimes. So the whole thing of the whole idea of cryptocurrencies and consequence of decentralized finance is to get rid of this regulation, is to break loose from the chains of this madness. So the issue is not to be subject to this regulation, but to establish new criteria, new rules, new procedures that up for the unregulated, or let's say non-government regulated sector. Finance didn't raise in Italy in the 14th century because there was some bureaucrat that was setting it up. It was born out of a circle of bankers and rich people, entrepreneurs, who designed their own rules, who were abiding their own rules, who had an enforcement system that would weed out the bad guys, and so on and so forth. So that's the spirit we need to reestablish. And that's at the very heart what we're doing through blockchain script.
All right, that's a very good point, Fabio. A little bit breaking up. So yeah, I mean, that's again, we have another supporter, Fabio and Mihai. So, okay, I mean, Gary, would you like to share anything about decentralized finance, or shall we discuss more about how it is? Obviously, we have seen a lot of, like, as a company, I have seen a lot of DeFi startups in the space. What would have driven? I mean, did they not make the homework? Did they not make the research before deep diving into starting a DeFi startup? So what was the compelling reasons or the reasons? Mihai, you can take this, for them to start a DeFi product or a solution. Mihai or anybody can
go ahead, Mihai. I already spoke, by the way, on DeFi, but go ahead. Mihai's going to jump out of
I think, look, I think it's not about KYC AML. I think it's about MT 937 and stuff that's much more specific and frankly annoying than most of this conversation kind of has to deal with. It's not for the unsophisticated investor. Liquidity providing is not baby's first foray into finance. That that is not where you start. And the reason why JP Morgan, Bank of America, BNP Paribas, some, former clients of mine, as well as folks that I, frankly love to work for and work with, have been really getting into this field, is because there's $650 trillion of securities in the world and only about $4 quadrillion of transactions per year. Those are huge numbers, but it means that only about 7x, right? If you think of all the stocks in the stock market, it would be, we would be in an ice age financially if they were traded 7 times a year. So I think the ability of Ethereum that allows within the financial system, right? These aren't Ponzi schemes. You're not coming out there and saying, hey, my exchange token is going to moon. You're getting your interest of 15, 20, 50% because there's traders. And furthermore, these banks are waiting themselves for up to 4 or 5 days internally for a securities transaction. So the ability of changing that from a 5-day transaction for a part of a mutual fund into a 3 to 4 hour transaction enables liquidity in a way that the traditional market has not considered before. At the end of the day, this is just a piece of technology, guys. It's not magic. The rules are the ones that we set for ourselves, right? And while we can change that, I think a lot of the rules are also set by physics and by technology. And so that's why it's taking the banks 5 days to make that transaction, because those systems work that way, because mostly those systems are human and they are often pen and paper still today in 2020. So I do think that there is a long way to go there.
I think obviously what Mihai just said is true, considering we have these issues, these challenges, and still in developing countries. So we are, 30 minutes into the panel. Very interesting. It's the Christmas Eve. Tushar, you would like to add something? Yes, go on. Then we will speak about banking, new banking, and other financial services. Tushar, go ahead.
So, Sonny, there's a little bit of history to all this, and in many ways, I agree with Fabio, with Mihai, with what Gary said, and Irina. So, walls need to be broken down. There is no, see, we have monopolies. So, central bankers are themselves a monopoly which print currency. The banks, they are essentially a structure sitting on top of a license, which is huge structure with branches, which has ignored the advent of the internet and the technologies. Look at what Jack Ma did. His fund caters to almost more than 1/3 of Chinese population, and we were talking about a $3 trillion valuation, which unfortunately didn't come out because of other reasons. But so technology is definitely there. There are use cases, and definitely the walls need to be broken down. But there is, as I said before, there is a thin line. So when there are cases where, like India is, the cash to GDP ratio in India is more than 12%. We are a very cash dependent economy, and we are an emerging economy. So we save on the dollars which go out of the country. So if the ease and the convenience of transacting through a wallet, through a crypto wallet, sometimes can be misused. So that is what regulators worry about. And there is a difference between erecting a monopoly walls versus KYC and AML, which are KYC, is know your customer. It is something which is so basic to banking, because it gives you an insight into the risk element of lending. And it can be done through an app. It can be done through an AI algorithm. That's not a problem at all. But it has to be done. You can't ignore KYC and AML and then say that all your transactions are compliant. So, that's my 2 bits.
Okay, great points, Tushar, for that. Thank you so much. Let's talk about banking. What happened to financial services in general and banking? How has banking evolved? What kind of new models and products we've seen evolve because of the pandemic? We've seen a lot of digital banking, neo banking, challenger banking, and whatnot. I still don't get the difference, but I've heard the terms. So let's start with Gary. So how has banking done so far in 2020, and what has changed in 2020?
Well, I mean, a lot's changed. I don't know if it is where you are, but you can't go into the bank where I am. So my private banker is, it's not like it used to be. I like to go in and sit down and talk to him or her. And it's not like that anymore. So we fundamentally shifted. If you look at what McKinsey said about a year and a half ago, 92% of the companies we're looking at digital transformation over the next 5 to 10 years. Well, we've had to do it in a matter of months. So what's changed? Well, we've had to go down through and figure out how do we get that relationship with the customer using things like chatbots. At the same time, we've got interesting dynamics going because cybersecurity, and I've been on several panels over the last few days. Cybersecurity is, in fact, I just wrote an article on AI and cybersecurity, but cybersecurity is now right at the top. I mean, it's interesting how we've had to shift, looking at things like, in terms of investing, things like robotic process automation. How do we make some of those mundane processes easier? How do we regulate better to make sure there's compliance? And more importantly, how do we hyper personalize so that we understand what kind of products to present to that customer at what time? So we've really had to evolve very, very, very quickly in terms of the environment. The old days of being able to go into your banker and sit down and get a loan. I mean, it can't be that it takes a week, 2 weeks. I still, from my perspective, in fact, I just had a conversation on a panel a few days ago about, in terms of home loans, they have all your information. Why wouldn't it be that just an inspector can go out if the house is empty, make a decision like spot on, and you get your loan transferred and everything's taken care of? It's an inefficient system. So from my perspective, there's a lot of upside opportunity in terms of bringing artificial intelligence in particular. As you know, that's my area of interest. So I think that it's a burgeoning, interesting space, and we've got to get down through and use this digital transformation to get closer to our customers.
Great. Thank you, Gary, for sharing those insights. Anthony, what have you seen in the banking and the financial services generally in 2020? What has changed since last year in 2020?
Sure. Well, in Australia, one neobank just closed shop. So
Okay.
because of the pandemic, they're not able to continue to get funding and not able to continue to sign up more customers. So that is that is really a tragedy because of the pandemic. But there are banks that really learn very fast, like DBS. DBS launched a cryptocurrency or digital exchange, for that matter, right? So they have been learning in the past 2 years. I already heard like 2 years ago they were hiring people in the blockchain space, and now that they have already started their own exchange, so other banks are follow suit. UOB and OCBC already hired quite a number of cryptocurrency or cryptography experts as well. So all the 3 banks in Singapore will start some sort of digital exchange or custodian or everything in this space, right? So of course, the more sophisticated banks like JP Morgan, they have already in this space for quite a while. And I feel that this pandemic has accelerated the digitalization of not just banks, but a lot of companies, in fact, even universities, have no choice. They have to do online learning, and most of them are still doing online learning even after the lockdown is eased and all that. So the way I see this inefficient system in banking that have multiple intermediaries suddenly needs to change, because they just cannot afford to support the layers of fat, so to speak, right? So with this, they are actually learning from the digital our space in this space of blockchain cryptocurrency. They are learning how certain companies are being able to decentralize and still able to function even amidst a pandemic. In fact, a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges, they are not really centralized per se, but they are semi-decentralized. You take Binance, for example, they have workers spread out across globally, right? And other exchanges, they have offices across the globe as well. So banks are taking this as a way to learn how to operate in such a environment. In fact, some of the global markets where I came from, we used to say that it's impossible to do FX without making a call. Then over time, it became electronic. Then when we were talking about fixed income bonds trading, we used to say it's impossible to not talk to your counterparty and get a quote, right? But now we are going into digital bonds trading. And in fact, this one Singapore company has already got the RMO license, right? So we are getting into that space. So banks are learning very fast. And I feel that they really took a leave and learn from the digital space where we are. So I see that as a good progress in this space.
Anthony, really correctly, very, very rightly, correctly, you pointed out. Rena, over to you. We know DBS is a traditional bank. They launched a cryptocurrency exchange, and I know obviously bonds, like Anthony mentioned, they moved into blockchain. Forgetting the name. So a lot of financial services and banking are moving into the space of blockchain and crypto. So would you like to share your insights as well?
Well, I agree with Anthony 100%. One of the things is what's happening is that we're just really not quite seeing what implementation is happening in the back end, right? Because it's not something that is necessary now. You know, when a bank for now issues cryptocurrency, it's probably less usable, but it's just a research and development for now. One of the things that I like to separate is cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, because your kind of a settlement layer, I think, is what's the most exciting adoption that's happening in traditional finance. Because again, we can really, really shorten the number of intermediaries we have for capital markets or for banking, you know, whatever it is, and really expedite the process. And the reason that's important is because it allows us to move money faster. The faster we can move money around, the more money we can make, right? And because by nature, single source of truth allows us to make that settlement better and easier. And so these implementations are going across the border, all over the world, and most importantly, regulators are really looking now, instead of just kind of saying, you know, if 7 years ago, the biggest question was if Bitcoin is going to be legal or not, and the regulators look at it as like, oh, no way, will that ever be legal? Now regulators are kind of starting to think, okay, and that's all over the world, right? And then remember, different countries, they have different taste for risks that they can take on. So some countries can come in and stand up really interesting regulatory infrastructure and really dive in and see if they can implement something, and if it doesn't work, it's not a big deal. It's not the case in America. U.S. infrastructure is complex, and a lot of the world good relies on that infrastructure. So I believe that's why the regulators are not running in and doing whatever crazy things, but they are doing good things. I mean, look, with your ATS, Alternative Trading Systems license, you can now offer up to $75 million to unaccredited investors. $75 million in primary listings under your ATS license here in America. That's a great evolution SEC did, and they did that after a great research and everything. And so I think that the banks, having been part of a bank and having built and known what it's like to either integrate with a bank or with a traditional bank,
Is very visible.
You know, I can tell you that a lot of the tech of legacy banks is really, really outdated, and a lot of, but it's just by nature how it works. It's hard to think to change big things, and you don't break You don't change big things with throwing little things and seeing if they will work or not. You have to have a technology tested, and once you have tested, once you understand how it works, then you can implement it to benefit. And so about 2 years ago, we started to really have great tests coming out, and we've been integrating technology slowly but surely all across the border. And I think that's where the freedom will come. Freedom will come from regulated entities for a lot of people all over the world, because it makes sense to take more clients in, right?
Right.
It allows you to have ability to service more people for less fees.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Irina, for those insights. Next, I have Tushar, and next I have Mihai. Just conscious of the time. Tushar, over to you, please.
Sonny, this year Visa bought a fintech company, Plaid, for $5.3 billion. Plaid, writes these APIs. Fintech company Lending Club, it bought a US regulated bank. And Morgan Stanley, the old timer, it bought E-Trade, which is an online platform used by financial traders. This is, portents of things to come. Technology, the march of technology is on since dot-com boom, even after the Lehman crisis of 2008, and now with the COVID crisis. Closer home in India, I'll just point out a few changes which are coming across. This year, a bank which was failing, a government bank, it was allowed to be taken over by the regulator, and DBS, the Singapore bank, took it over.
I know. I read it in the news. Sorry, I got excited.
Yeah.
Lakshmi Bank or something.
Yeah, Lakshmi Vilas Bank. So the whole part of central bank's conservative approach is, they are very risk averse when they allow deposit taking institutions to be controlled by external entities, because it adds systemic risk to the whole system. Closer home, 10 government banks merged to form 4, and the share of government banks in the Indian economy, lending share, has gone down from 70% to 50% in the last 4 years. It is likely to go down to 30%, which is the global average. And consolidation will happen. We have government banks, private banks, urban cooperative banks, rural banks. There are so many. Consolidation will happen around technology. In India, the payment banks, the private ones, they are converting into small payment banks, which are being allowed deposits. That is one more change which is happening. So, banks are still relying on ATMs and physical branches at a time when everything is coming on the smartphone. The stickiness of the smartphone is allowing people to do more, to do more on the smartphone. And that is what the new age technology will allow these banks to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Tushar, for bringing up the case of a distressed asset being bought over by the regulators and DBS Bank. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a big news. Mihai, over to you, please.
Well, so I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you for pointing out some of the legal minutiae arena. One of my big questions is what's going to happen with security tokens and wrappers, because like it or not, the genie is out of the bag. And if you can stake and wrap something like Bitcoin, right, or any sort of off-protocol token, you look at something like Harbor that came out and got $100 million worth of real estate and then entered the market and hit zero liquidity. So to me, the biggest issue with our progress is liquidity. Now, I've got some moral qualms, quite frankly, about accredited investors. I don't think it's right or ethical for anyone to be prevented from investing in something by anything other than their good sense. I'll happily write letters to the SEC about it, but I think the most effective way to kind of open up that broad world is really through wrappers. And wrappers are notoriously unregulated in the existing derivatives market. I don't think anybody is going to notice for potentially years if we have security tokens coming out of Liechtenstein and getting wrapped, and put on Uniswap or these other fully decentralized platforms. So I'd really like to hear what other people think of the technological possibilities that are coming to the security space. And once we have interoperability between smart tokens, in real securities, what kind of genie is going to be coming out of that bag?
That's a very good subject and topic to talk, but I think we have short of time now to talk about that. It's going to take another 1 hour. Thank you, Maya, for bringing it up. Gary, you'd like to say something?
No. I'm just listening.
All right, I think this is the AI.
I have something to say. If you want me to summarize, I could say something, but no.
I think it's just the motion sensitivity of Zoom that I thought you were about to say something. But anyways,
No, I was just reconfiguring myself here.
Fabio, closing remarks and VCTV best moments, considering this is a Christmas Eve and, well, you've got to spend time with family. So yes, please.
Sonny, I think that the best moment of VCTV will be yet to come, because it has been a progression. So each moment has been better than the previous one. And so as an economist, I like to make predictions that this trajectory will be followed also in 2021. And therefore, for all the good moments that we have had, I'm sure that there will be many more better in 2021.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fabio. And definitely Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And I'll definitely see you back on VCTV on more panels and more topics. Thank you so much. Anthony, closing remarks, and this is the first time you're speaking on VCTV, is that correct? Anthony, you are mute, or have I lost you?
Mute, he's on mute.
Yeah.
Anthony, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
Sorry. sorry. Yeah, this is the first time I'm on VCTV, so thanks very much for the invitation. I really benefit from the discussion, and the last sharing from Mihai really got me thinking about the security space, because really we are heading into very exciting times, right? Incidentally, just about 3 weeks ago, I was talking to a private banker. We were discussing how to put something in the elections, Luxembourg, using that infrastructure in the private banking infrastructure, and how we can wrap something up. So Mihai just mentioned something, and really that we were talking and trying to explore what are the ways that can open this up, not just to private banking clients, but eventually we can put it on a usage where anyone can just invest into this vehicle, right? So I think we are going into that space. I don't fear regulation, but I feel that a lot of players in the market are trying to run away from regulation. So we must be able to try to strike a balance and try to address what are the fears that the regulators have, which I think they are just overblown, because they keep saying, they used to say Bitcoin was used for money laundering and all that, but the biggest vehicle for money laundering is US dollar. So why don't you ban the US dollar, right? So, so with that, I think they now realize that, hey, this DeFi is real, is going to be here to stay. So as participants in the market, I'm very excited that this has great future.
Great points. I really like the way you said it. Thank you so much, Anthony. Gary, you're obviously you have many moments on VCTV.
I've over 600 shows, so there's been a lot of moments. I got to say that I've met some incredible people, and many of them are here today. So it's been amazing. I got to tell you, I've met. It was interesting. I met a billionaire on the show, and I contacted with him a couple of days ago, and I didn't realize who he is. And I've had that happen a number of times. I got to Richard Branson's partner through VCTV, and I'm working on getting Branson on my show. So it's just incredible, the people that I've been able to meet. And, I was here at the beginning, like Arena. So we've seen it grow, and, people needed hope this year, and they needed to connect with one another. So through this year, the VCTV has given people that opportunity, the medium for that. At the same time, the viewership, as you were saying, I think yesterday, has gone up to like 15,000, up to 15,000 per episode. And so that's really encouraging. It gives people hope and a way to connect together. And, I've written several articles about, Nikola Tesla's dream come true, the democratization of opportunity. I mean, we're reaching out. I'm getting literally calls from all over the world. A lot of them from India, Indonesia, Australia, and they're coming in because they see me on VCTV. So I'm encouraged by it. It's a great idea to be able to connect the world together, and it had to happen sooner or later. And unfortunately, the pandemic has really pushed us in that direction. So in terms of banking and finance, I love artificial intelligence, built a couple of unicorns. I'm really excited about the opportunity to be able to utilize AI and next quantum computers and what kind of things we can do with that, hyper personalization, et cetera. So I'm encouraged by it. And this year, as I said, it's not going to be 2020 looking back. Let me tell you, it's going to be 2019.
Right, Gary. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And Sonny, you do a great job. And thanks to all my friends, Fabio, Irina, Tushar, Anthony, Mihai. It's great to have everybody here. And Carol's in the background somewhere. Hi, Carol. It's great to be here. So I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gary. Mihai, what's the closing remarks for the topic today? And what's your feedback about VCTV?
I love this platform. I think you guys are doing a really great job. And as Gary said, it's important to have a reason to connect just in general, because even without the pandemic, we're sort of very locked into the places, mentalities that we're from, right? It's a really big privilege to be a part of crypto because it meant traveling the world very often, and often for no reason, just to go see a conference, often to just try to broaden your perspective. And this year has really taught us to do that digitally. I think what we have to do in terms of being an industry is a long and complex road. But it's the first time that we're getting any attention. When money first became digital, nobody gave a crap about the vendor. Nobody was sitting behind being like, oh, let's have big conferences with thousands of people that include your barber about what kind of protocol Swift is going to use. I think it's fascinating to, be talking about, Bitcoin at a Christmas party, but even more so to be trying to explain the future of programmable money, of having, the need for insurance, right? The world's most boring product all of a sudden is critically absent from DeFi. How do you have an exchange without insurance? Well, you can. Good luck. And I think there is an element of luck. There is an element of enthusiasm, and there's just, for me personally, there's nothing but gratitude for all of the blessings that we've had this year, especially given how hard it has been for almost everybody on earth. So thank you very much for having me.
Okay, great, Mihai. Great points. Obviously, we are talking Bitcoin and decentralized finance on a Christmas Eve. I mean, obviously, nobody would have thought that happening in pre-2020. But again, we have to be thankful for whatever we have today. To share your closing remarks and your VCTV best moments, please.
So each moment is better than the previous one, and I remember in the first one, Gary said VCTV is therapy. So within a very short time, it has become therapy for me, and I look forward to coming on VCTV.
Tushar, would you like to talk about it a little more? Tell me a little bit about your family.
It's Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to everyone out there. To you, Sonny, to Carol, to Fabio, to Anthony, to Mihai, and to Gary. I mean, I had such a wonderful talk with Gary after the first one, and we just connected like this. And thank you so much, all of you. God bless you. Stay fit, stay fine till the time vaccines come out, and then God bless you.
Thank you, Tushar. Same to you. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Irina, welcome back in the sense you had a little bit of break. So closing remarks and your VCTV best moments, please. Considering you are the next runner-up after Gary.
Okay, right. You know, so many beautiful moments. As Gary said, it's been really wonderful to be able to stay connected and meet new people. We met here, and Gary and I met here, and so many people are coming into this platform. And I think because of COVID, they're coming into this platform. So it started as, oh my goodness, let's just kind of try to stay connected, to where it's a family. We now became a family, and I just love it so much. And it's so important because for me personally, it allows me to see what everybody else is doing, and it allows us to know what is going on the back end that we're not reading in the news. Because that's what we do at the conferences, right? We travel the world, we speak on big stages, we go have private dinners and all these things. And in the end of the day, it's all about figuring out what is happening like right now that is going to be in the news in 3 years, right? And VCTV is allowing us to do it. So it's amazing, I think, that it's happening virtually and other people are watching this. It's an educational platform. That's what I think of it. It allows people that would not be able to participate in those private dinners, in the invite-only summits, and all the other great places and events that I miss so much and ready to go back soon. You know, it allows people to be able to see what conversations happen there. And I really believe that it allows them to then think, apply, build better. And so I do know we're making a world a better place together, guys. And so every episode, you know, I love the variety of topics that we dive into. And you know, you go, a late token is a crypto exchange, and I appreciate that you guys took the opportunity and allowed other industries kind of come in, and experts from many different industries come in and inform viewers and inform each other on what's happening. And so I do think that when we look back to this time frame that we're in right now, and have been for several months, we will see that this was a big point of integration of many different innovations. And I do believe that VCTV will be like that central kind of a point for that. So, and happy Christmas Eve, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Irina, so
Merry
much
Christmas.
for those lovely words. Merry Christmas, everyone. Irina, you made me a little bit emotional as well. It's a family, it's a networking platform, it's an informative platform, educational. Besides that, I also came to know it's a therapy platform. Tech therapy we're talking about. So these are the keywords that I obviously learned over the time, besides being connecting people, which is good. I feel great as a moderator myself and representing the company, that how far we have come together since March 2020. And you know, I'm really appreciative of VC LA Token team as well, giving me this opportunity to moderate the panels as well. Having said that, I just wish you all Merry Christmas again, Happy Holidays again. I'm going to see you again next week. Till then, please stay safe. Stay connected on WhatsApp or any other medium, LinkedIn, and I'm going to be seeing you back on some more panels, some more topics. Till then, take care. Have a
Merry
great
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas Eve.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.